we're talking about how, isn't it crazy, you could really not have to like ruin relationships with people by just staying friends with them, because like a lot of stuff we jump into inadvertently, whether it be like moving in with people or like being around them all the fucking time. I think you're relating it to like dating coworkers and things, but
yeah, it's been problematic before.
but it's like you could really stay super good lifelong friends with somebody. But I was trying to compare it to this weird this was like a shroom thought the other day, how everybody's like in these weird like cogs and we're all turning, right? And these are relationship opportunities, kind of just moving away from each other as like your time passes, like you had your opportunity. And like sometimes like I feel like we're turning, like as your decision gets made to be with somebody long term or not, somebody else is like making that decision for you, you know? It's kind of weird. It's like if you don't do it, someone will, on both sides.
Yeah, you got to decide. I mean, because it's always going to be a two-way street. There's always going to be a give and take.
But we were talking about how everything can be solved with communication, and how most people aren't willing to have the talk that could really fix everything because they're afraid to have it. They just like cut things off entirely. Like,
well, I mean, you can try to initiate as much as you want, but if the other person's not, giving anything back.
For sure. That also has to do with sometimes people see this as like, this is going to end somehow. Like, some people don't want to fix shit, you know what I mean? They just let it crash and burn because they know what's coming. I think that's a reality too.
Yeah.
For sure. And at the same time, dude, some shit just isn't worth fixing, right?
That's funny because, man, I've been thinking about this Ozzy Osbourne biography called "I Am Ozzy," and he says, "Try and make your relationships work."
Yeah, well, because like, isn't that what genuine love is supposed to be? Where it's like, I know people say you're not supposed to like change, but like you want to like be a better person because you like the other person so much. You're going out of your way to do shit you wouldn't normally do.
My dating self is definitely a better, more positive person
for sure.
My single self.
Exactly.
All right.
And most people don't realize that. Like, a lot of people like to dwell and be in that sad emotional state for whatever reason when they're like freaking one text or phone call away from being where they want to be type of shit. People have a lot of pride, It's interesting.
And that's only getting worse because everybody wants to stay inside their own little private cells all the time now. Since
it's really not their fault, dude. I feel so bad.
No, it's not their fault.
Well,
it's a
because
side effect of
the last 2 years, bro. There's a lot of undevelopment that didn't get to take place because of people being restricted. I feel so bad, like emotionally, the people that couldn't experience things and shit. There's a lot of closed off people now because, dude, if you're lied to by your own fucking anyone above you in charge, government, whatever it may be, you start to question it. I know, but then you start to really question everybody around you. You're like, this isn't the world I thought it was,
Yeah. I mean, it makes people more cautious, but it also makes them.
I'm super intrigued.
Personable.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued at like how like inquisitive younger people actually are. Like, I don't give them enough credit sometimes. Like, you're half my age sometimes, but you really think the way I do.
I wonder what a Tide Pod tastes like.
I wouldn't go that far.
They are inquisitive.
For sure.
Curiosity is why we're able to eat a lot of stuff nowadays. Why medicine has progressed this far is because some dummy had to do it first.
Damn.
Cheese. What's cheese? It's spoiled milk. Somebody found out, I can actually eat this and not die.
No, it's not. It's not that I can actually eat this. It's that I could turn this waste into fucking positive in cash influx. That's what it was. Like just like grinded meat and shit. Like call it a sausage link and throw some fucking sauce on it.
I mean, at this point now you have to talk about alcohol.
What about it? What do you feel?
I mean, it's just a harder, fermentation process.
Oh, that's a good point.
Who came up with that?
That's a good point, actually.
Who honestly came up with
that? Well, for it being his oldest time, too. And the earliest alcohol all had psychedelics in it, all the wine had mushrooms in it, like everything was fermented on another level with the alcohol. It's not just alcohol.
I think we have to give credit to our ancestors on that part. And what were you saying? You were talking about the 1917 San Francisco Fair or something like that.
Oh yeah, that just like there's a whole nother world that all these countries put together and built so that we had this like perfect place of like entertainment that was like literally a magnificent architectural like fucking amusement park, dude. And they just fucking bombed the shit, blew it up, detonated it like as if it never existed. There's a lot of history. If they can do that just 100 years ago, you don't think they can lie to us about thousands of years ago?
You know, people forget that World War II was not even 100
It's our parents'
years ago.
lifetime. Yeah, it's our
Yeah.
grandparents' lifetime. Yeah, that's intense, dude.
And all the things that came with it. I mean, planes got started, the naval forces, everybody in the First World War.
And we're just thinking 2 generations back. Like, y'all have twilight moments where you're like, what was my grandfather doing by this time? You ever have those little weird, like, what was he doing by this age? Like, because we really go back in time and it's like, oh, half my life's already done if you keep going further back. Should have already done more and conquered.
Well, it was a lot easier back in the 50s.
What do you mean? When you're raised with the sword or what? When it's like 5-year-old and they're like with wooden swords? Wow.
Yeah, the 1850s, the 950s.
Man, that's a good point. I really am bad with the timeline, but you know what I should really do though is just memorize when the philosophers lived, and you have a better idea of like the timeline, probably.
I read something kind of funny today. I was on Reddit under Buddhism, and this guy asks, why does the Buddha have to meditate? Hasn't he already reached enlightenment?
Well, is it called Dharma? I think is what it's called. There's just a term for like everyone who meditates. There's this weird nagging greed that is at the bottom of everyone. Like everybody wants something, you know what I mean? And it comes down to like them acknowledging it, and it's a weird thing that they can't describe, but it's like there's a whole word for that feeling that you're meditating for nothing, like the nothingness of it, to not attach yourself. And at the end of it all, there's still something deep down rooted in everyone that everyone wants. So it's an interesting concept.
Well said.
Yeah. I think that's what the word is. If it's not Dharma, I might be wrong.
I have no idea.
It's definitely a word though. But that's it's interesting. I get the fucking I Ching is in my room. I should have taken you to my library before I put you on this pod, because it opens up all these topics that you might want to talk about. But Eastern philosophy is crazy because they just talk about time, dude. Their reference of time is all that they have for life. Like that's how they measure everything, all their life decisions and shit. It's just interesting. But compared to Western philosophy, we need to physically see shit. Everything's material here.
Is it philosophy or just way of life?
It's definitely both. Yeah, because if you're not open to like extrasensory things, if you don't even believe it's possible, it's not going to show itself to you. I don't believe that shit's real. Well, then you'll never see it. Mm-hmm. Don't be surprised.
You know what? I have to disagree. I feel like whenever you're telling the universe, I don't believe in cars, that's whenever you get hit by a car.
Oh, well, that's because you're talking about the law of assumption, though, really. Because that has to do with being absolute, where you're like, I know for a fact. Then the universe is like, no, you don't.
I guess I was thinking more in terms of whenever you get kind of, up in your head about a particular thing, you'll eventually get shown, why not to be like that, if you're, willing to accept that.
Interesting. I feel that. Thoughts?
You have to be willing to accept it, though, because some people, they just create this web of lies, and they get so absorbed into it, they start believing shit themselves. That's all what a pathological liar becomes.
I was just telling Ryan that I feel like some people that I like love the most avoid me because they think like maybe I'm too perfect and they want to figure out what's wrong with me from afar. You know what I mean? Because I might give this kind of image of, but it's like, dude, I'm not. Like, I can tell you all my flaws if you really want to know. You know what I mean? But
like gangsters have to probably have a similar charisma. You know what I mean? Like killers like mob boss maybe.
I guess I might just be the way I carry myself and shit, but to think that like I have nothing wrong and my life is perfect is a complete misconstrued,
Right.
you know. Everybody has shit going. My biggest problem is execution. And even the people who have told me that, I've fucking been so offended by them and been like, you don't know me, knowing deep down like that's true. Like executing's always been my thing because I'll want something super bad, figure out how to get it, and then realize it's not that important. You know? Like what really matters, and it comes full circle. It's just a full perpetual, like, I don't even really care.
Do you think that has a lot to do with Dharma?
It's a cycle of like trying to remind yourself to be selfless, you know? But at the same time, am I really being my best self if I'm not giving people the information they need or like the entertainment, whatever? You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of being selfish by like not putting myself out there if that's what I'm good at. That's what sucks. I tell you this all the time where I'm like, introverts, you know, we have something to offer. Like people have a new perspective just from whenever we speak. We're inventing shit all the time, you know, intuitives, going deep within ourselves, always by our fucking selves.
Yeah. Spend a lot of time overthinking a lot of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. For sure. Definitely. But I was quoting yesterday a quote in Think and Grow Rich that basically the man who bets it all on one turn of events is guaranteed success. And I was like, if that doesn't say believe in yourself, I don't know what does. Because if you really go all out for whatever it is, you're going to detail your plan so fucking well. Like you can't fail, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's the point of believing.
Exactly.
Shit, and if you didn't, you're gonna fucking, dude, you'll regret it later. You're gonna say, I should have. You know what I mean? I could have. I know it. So why not try it?
There's just setting yourself up for a life of regret right there. Just missed opportunities.
For sure, dude.
Up.
And dude, we're just talking about career opportunities. Like, you know how many like times I think I fall in love in a week? The fuck? You know what I mean? A girl provokes my emotion and I'm like, stop it. She's just pretty, you know? You can't just get caught up like that. But career opportunities don't just... I proposed this question the other week. I was like, would you rather take a career opportunity or like the love of your life if it was guaranteed for sure? One would
Guaranteed
last.
for sure.
Yeah, one would last.
Yeah, the love of my life.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
Very... You too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
See, if I have, you know...
I just realized something about myself. That's crazy. All right.
If I have, you know, a good job, I mean, I have a good job right now, but I wouldn't say it's what I want to be doing for the rest of forever. But, you know, if let me put it this way. I had a good friend of mine who had a job that pays a lot more than I'll probably ever make, had side income on top of that, all these assets, and he wasn't happy.
I feel that.
The only thing that made him happy was his wife.